Hello, cryptocurrencies. Welcome to the first episode of my deep dive video series. If there's enough interest, I'm thinking of making more of these. When doing a deep dive, our perspective will be different from the daily commentaries I do every day. So we'll have a different point of view here. We won't be looking at things like buy here, sell there on a daily basis. We're not going to approach it like this is support, that's resistance. A bit more, we'll be looking at things on a more global scale. After that, I'll have some analyses focused on specific cryptocurrencies. So first, I want to start with global liquidity. Global liquidity is mostly created by central banks. What we can actually measure is also created by these banks, but it's also generated by other banks. But we're focusing on the liquidity created by central banks. And you can think of this as the fuel or nourishment for all asset prices in the world. Like the fuel or food for them. Because if there is liquidity, then someone can benefit from it. We'll look at liquidity. This is important. Secondly, which asset prices or which asset groups? Does this liquidity prefer, and to what extent? Of course, this is not something that's very easy to know. For example, how much of this liquidity is flowing into crypto? And then, yes, this liquidity is coming into crypto, but how much of it is choosing Bitcoin? How much is going to Ethereum? And so on. How much is going to other coins? Now, that's a whole other thing. But first, let's start with global liquidity and total S. What we call total S is the size measured within the total crypto market, excluding stablecoins, like Tether and other stablecoins. So it's the size that's looked at with stablecoins left out. It's normal to look at total S this way. Yes, in parentheses, the use of coins, the increased use of stablecoins, the greater preference for stablecoins. For cryptocurrencies, it's a positive development, but this is something more long-term. In these kinds of calculations, it's useful to exclude stablecoins and look at it that way. It doesn't make a huge difference, but you can see that it's below 4 trillion. Now, this blue line here, look, as global liquidity, the blue line increases, the black line also goes up, so the total crypto market has also increased. But then, for example, you can see that after October 2021, as this goes down, it drops, but liquidity keeps increasing. Then liquidity starts to fall. After that, as liquidity rises, this area also goes up. When liquidity is falling, there can be another increase from here. So, there isn't a one-to-one correlation here at all. Because sometimes money prefers crypto, and sometimes it doesn't. But generally, if liquidity is increasing, we would expect this to be reflected in crypto as well. Indeed, when we look at it like this, look. For example, starting from here, from the end of January 2024, you can see that it moves in a very similar way right away. And starting from April 2025, there's an increase in global liquidity as well. And there's also an increase in cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies have moved a bit faster compared to liquidity. For example, sometimes it can happen like this. Liquidity comes in a bit later. So what happens? There's a pullback until liquidity catches up, continues up to the level of liquidity. Here, as I said, there might be more appetite for cryptocurrencies. We would expect it to rise even faster than the increase in liquidity. Sometimes the appetite can also decrease. But as far as we can see right now, look, the rally still has room to go. It seems like there is. Until when? Unless we see an increase in liquidity later on, which I think we will see. But look, this seems like it could go on until the 3rd week of September, so until around September 23rd. It looks like it could continue. How can we speak with such confidence? Actually, it's like this. First, liquidity comes in. Then the movement in the markets happens a certain number of days later. That's how it is. It's about like 3 months or so. It can have an effect. Then its effect can be seen. And here you can see that it fits nicely. I mean, it's not bad, of course. It doesn't have to be exactly September 23rd. It could be September 20th, 25th, or 30th. This liquidity could start increasing again because, look, here's the thing. There are situations where it drops and then increases again. So actually, with a moving average, it looks even better when you look at it. But the point here isn't to make it look good. I mean, it's to understand how we're looking at it. So in cryptocurrencies, there's still room to go further. In my opinion, right now, but there has been a rapid rise. I mean, Well, from July 11th. There was a rapid rise until July 21st. Yes, in cryptocurrencies. From here now. I want to switch to Bitcoin dominance, because the question that was always asked was this, sir. When will the altcoin rally come? Now this altcoin rally. The question of when will it come? Actually, it will come now. It will come this week. There's no such thing as we're already in it or anything like that. There's no answer to that. Let's just say that up front. But what we're following here is Bitcoin dominance. I'm unfollowing this Ikimoku for one. And also this Nader of AVAXs. Well, let's look at the analysis now. It's useful to look at it on the weekly chart, as you can see here. It's inside a rising channel. I drew this channel a long time ago. Interestingly, it's still working, and this. It looks like it's come down to the bottom of the channel right now. Market cap dominance. So if it's come down to the bottom. And this Ikimoku on the daily now, not yet on the weekly, but on the daily I mean. Yeah, it's reached an extreme area, but still. We expect it to go down further since it cuts here. For example, in this coming period. We expect this to continue until 50 or so, but there is currently one excess. So maybe this is not something that can happen today or tomorrow. Upwards of one reaction may come from here. After such things, Niktikim. Reactions are coming. We see, you need to be careful with things like this. I am more making a long-term assessment here for you. So, yes, we might be at the beginning of the altcoin rally right now. However, this might be delayed a bit because it moved at an extremely fast pace. It might go up again from here a little. And of course, you can also look at it with other things. I mean, with other metrics too, but this is the main thing. Now here, you need to pay attention to this. We're going to look at the Bitcoin to Ethereum ratio. So yes, I'm going to look at the Bitcoin to Ethereum ratio. And there too, look, there was a rise until its point. And then it came down from there. What do you see? Again, there's an excess here. I mean, already here. The situation. The pullback in dominance is largely due to Ethereum. It's happened because of the rapid movement in Ethereum. Here too, actually, Bitcoin moved up quickly. And I mean up until, like this April. After that, it shifted to Ethereum. It's easier to see from here. Let's also open our trend indicator like this. And look, it came all the way down like this. So, in Ethereum, maybe there's still a bit more room to go, but you can see that it's reached the overbought zone. If we take a step back and look from a bit further. So, won't Ethereum get even stronger? Well, at one point, it was like that. As you can see, it also broke a critical support at one. I mean one. I think Ethereum can still strengthen a bit more. So this excessiveness, will probably continue a bit longer. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but in the coming weeks. It looks like Ethereum could get a bit stronger. So let's turn back to Bitcoin now. Or rather, let's move on to Bitcoin analysis. And let's also open up our global liquidity. On the daily chart, you can see Bitcoin is largely following liquidity since 2020 from the fourth quarter. Now we can clearly see it's been following it, and here it's sped up. So, in recent days, it's picked up speed. Liquidity is still ongoing, by the way. So maybe it'll wait for liquidity a bit and stay around here. But you can see that liquidity is increasing even more in this environment, so it could move even faster. Liquidity is still ongoing, and it looks like it'll continue until around September 24th. It seems like it's going to keep going. According to my projections, according to my new projection for Bitcoin, it's around 142,000. Dollars is what it looks like. My old projections were 134,000. Now I've recalculated, and it's showing 142,000. Like I said, it's not something that can happen right away. In fact, maybe it won't happen at all, because Bitcoin has come up quickly compared to the liquidity. It might pull back a bit. It might pause for a while. These things happen. The projection shows 142,000. For Bitcoin, I want to emphasize that again. So, that's how I took it. There's no such thing as let me buy today and make money right away, because it's reached the overbought zone. You can see below, it's reached the overbought zone. It has reached the overbought zone before as well. And sometimes it can stay there for a long time. But this time it's not like that. I mean, this time. Things could be different. It's reached the overbought zone. And when we had the Nadaraya Watson as well. Look, from the overbought zone. See how it came down on May 23rd. Now we've reached the same point again. So in the short term, there could be a pullback. But within the next 3 months, over the next 3 to 4 months, we expect the upward trend to continue from where it left off. In Bitcoin, man, I had said we expect Ethereum to perform a bit better as well. Now, if we move on to Ethereum, look, Ethereum, it's like this. Here, this line global liquidity. And Ethereum has also started to follow global liquidity. It moved up quickly, that's true, but it was already slow. I mean, it was lagging behind. That's why I also like Ethereum. 4,000 is the next target, and these are, old things. So we don't have a new analysis here. These are old things. In Ethereum, look, Ethereum has reached 4,860.7, and it could back to those levels again. But as you can see right now, it's really pushed its rare highs. It has pushed quite a bit above them. Things like this can happen. Pullbacks don't always happen right away. So maybe it could go up to 4,000 and then pull back from there. It hasn't reached the overbought zone on the weekly yet, but on the daily, it looks like it has. So in Ethereum too, but for higher levels. We're expecting more here now. We're more comfortable with targets in Ethereum because there are levels that have been seen before when you look at it like this. For example, this level at 3758, the level we're very close to right now. We know that it acts as resistance, and after that, it's 4,000, but there's no such thing in Bitcoin. So then I use my own method, the only fixed Fibonacci method, and I try to do something with it. And people often ask me what that is. Well, as you can see below, I explain these things in the training. And the price of the training will go up on August 1st. I just wanted to remind you here since it was relevant. So that's the situation with Ethereum right now. Let's take a look at Ripple from here. Look how quickly Ripple has moved up. In Ripple 3, we've already surpassed our 3.23 target. So now, where is the support here? Here, the support is of course the previous peak. Above 3.20, there was 3.41, that area is the support in Ripple. So, the altcoin rally, just like I mentioned earlier at the point I showed. There's also a big move here in Ripple. Of course, it also affects the altcoins this week. In America, Congress, there were some very important developments. The laws were approved, and we're actually seeing the effects of these right now. So if things settle down a bit, I mean it starts to fade a bit, we could of course see some pullbacks. Here, we might see that so. In this case, if we do a new target analysis, it already shows 4 there. In our new target analysis, you can see that it's 4. But like I mentioned earlier, since things have moved quickly these days, there might be some pullbacks. And after that, the upward trend could continue. So. If you have money on hand and want to get into these cryptocurrencies, you're already late. If there are pullbacks from here. But that will be a buying opportunity for you. You need to understand this. These are very risky levels now. Let's also take a look at Solana. That's also one of the most frequently asked about things. And for Solana, I want to open the Ichimoku indicator. And I also want to open the global liquidity. Now, looking at Solana's global liquidity, we see that it went up until maybe May. But after that, it's been weak. So, this means that the altcoin rally we're expecting, even if it's a bit delayed, if it were to come, well, I'm sorry for this left-handed person because that well has also passed through. It is very positive. It can go much higher from here, right? 295 again. There's no reason not to go now. But it's in the overbought region, so maybe if it comes back like this will be a good buying opportunity for you. Because right now, global liquidity is also increasing. Solana is in a pretty good spot on the daily chart. It's in the overbought region. Maybe it could pull back a bit, but rarely, depending on its pace and so on. There's no problem. 195 is the next E. The next support level for Solana is 171. One I'm always asked about is AVAX. Look, don't you see a similar thing with AVAX as well? It came up, broke out of the range, but couldn't join the global liquidity because the market didn't choose altcoins. The market preferred Bitcoin. In fact, after a certain point, it preferred Ethereum and Ripple. Isn't it totally normal for these to lag behind? If these start to move, then it could easily see its old levels, like around 44. Higher levels are also possible here, but right now, like I said, to say an altcoin rally has started, we need to see a bit more, as you can see here. It's also come up to a critical resistance. Now, to sum it all up, my short-term outlook isn't very positive. For these, I mean in the next 1 or 2 weeks, my outlook isn't very positive. But in the period after that, meaning in the next 3 months, my outlook is positive. So we expect these to rise. For an altcoin rally, Bitcoin dominance should be tracked on a weekly basis. People usually look at this daily and say, is it starting now? Or is it time for this? Is it the hour? Is it the minute? Things like that. Forget about that for a second. That will mislead you. In fact, when President Trump was elected, there was a move that lasted 10, even 11 days. People thought the altcoin rally must have ended because 10 days had passed and altcoins were going up. But after 10 days, things turned the other way around. So, following it daily is misleading. Even on a weekly basis, there's no guarantee of such a thing. So that's why it won't mislead you. So don't focus too much on that side. Global liquidity is supporting you. You can think of it like a tailwind behind you. That's how you can see it. And on a daily basis, you can follow my analyses. Of course, in my analyses, I don't include Solana or AVAX, but Ethereum, Ripple, and especially Bitcoin. I do give daily commentary on those. If we see pullbacks there, meaning both in Ethereum, Ripple, and so on, it will also have an effect on this side, so it will also affect Solana and AVAX, maybe even. A similar situation will apply to many other altcoins as well. So for these coins in particular, there's no need to do an analysis every single day. I hope this has been helpful.